Okay, well, we're back, and it's time to dive into the Phoenix Clan. The entire crew is here. Underneath, we have Emma, Monty. Next to me, I have Steve, and then we have Sar, and of course Jeremy. Sar's rocking the Phoenix Clan merch. Monty's being the truest of all the true streamers, rocking the Twitch shirt. Um, Steve, what do you have today for your?
I have no idea. It's like a typical like 80s um
What is it? Real? It says real something.
I don't really care what it says.
Yeah,
I like
Jeremy,
I like
do you have anything? It
Got my roll shirt
says
on.
roll.
Yeah, it made out of dice. It's made out of dice if you look close.
Oh,
That's
okay,
weird.
that's cool. I didn't
Yeah.
notice that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Emma's just color. It's just
It's a
Just
nice
wearing
little
stuff.
knit top. It looks comfy.
yeah.
It's waffle.
It's a waffle. I've got my Krav Maga Worldwide shirt. That's about it. But anyway,
We should totally do like a clothing check every time we do one. of these
clothing
things.
check. What,
Like what are we drinking? What are we wearing?
Who
Well,
are you wearing?
who are you wearing? I'm wearing our Asians represent merch.
Jeremy, are you wearing yourself on your t-shirt? Like,
Like an Asian's like talk show. It's called Have You Eaten Rice Yet Today?
Have you eaten rice yet?
isn't that the Rokugani greeting?
That's how they greet each other in Karatur. They say, "Have
Yeah,
you
that's
eaten
that's
rice?"
also Rokugan also, I think.
Yeah, it was the
It
one of
was
the,
it was alluded to, but I think they like dialed it back a little bit.
See, here's the thing with the "Have you eaten rice" bit. The like, the "Have you eaten" is super important to like Asian people because that "Have you eaten" means I love you, right? It's a sign of showing that you care. There's like Wong Fu Productions had like made like a whole video about that.
Mhm.
But then when you go and you say all Asian instead of saying hello, all Asians say "Have you eaten rice today?" Then it's a little bit bad. But that's not this game right now. Don't say
I
anything.
think it
Sorry.
is, isn't it?
Does
No?
do they say that in this?
Honestly, I don't remember. For a
Okay,
fact.
I was told that by guys that I play L5R with.
The thing
Oh,
is,
so
I was like,
somebody
that's just Chinese.
somebody in
And
the
they're
chat
like,
said Jeremy is correct. In the first edition RPG lore, it was
Oh, okay.
explicitly the polite greeting.
maybe they were talking about first edition lore.
but here's the thing: in Singapore and most other Southeast Asian countries, I mean, you eat udah makan belum? That's
Yeah, I mean, some Chinese people say it too sometimes, but it's not like a everyday greeting.
No, it's like "Have you eaten?"
Yeah.
The way it was written in Oriental Adventures was basically like this is like the one way everyone greets each other. Like whether you're talking to like your mom or like a bro or like a lover, you'd be like, "Have you eaten rice yet?" And it's like there's a little more nuance than that. There's a surprise if you speak a language. There's multiple ways to say hello.
Mhm.
Karatur or Oriental Adventures was Garbo
Well, the,
at representing that kind of
well,
stuff.
the thing with that is like, they say like everybody says this, and then it assumes that everybody in Karatur speaks the same language and eats rice.
But everyone in Karator is show.
But everyone in
Remember?
Karatur show, and everyone eats rice because all Asians eat rice, apparently.
Mm.
So tomorrow's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Emma, you're gonna love it. Speaking of which, we have an announcement before we start. I know I said we're going to dive into the Phoenix Clan, but if you're watching this video on YouTube, this will come up on our YouTube channel or a podcast feed later. If you're watching us live right now, tomorrow we have the premiere of a new monthly stream, Asians Read Karatur, the Eastern Realms. We're going to follow up our Oriental Adventure stream, and we're actually going to read the AD&D Oriental Adventures campaign setting. So yeah, that's going to be a very interesting experience.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts, because we're taking that journey to the other half of the world, Karatur. But anyways, we're on the Phoenix Clan. Do any of you have any other updates that you'd like to share? Monty's always working on something secret, so I know Monty, you can't share things. Any of you got anything?
I mean,
I have
I'll shout out Monty here. I mean, Celestial Realms and Wheel of the other and the book, the supplements for L5R that Monty I know did work on was released, and I think that it's both of them are pretty amazing. I've been reading Celestial Realms, and I really, really like it.
Can you hold up the Can you hold up the cover?
I don't know. I think it's like gonna freak out on me again. Yeah, it's gonna freak out on me again.
Yeah.
It's so secret. Well, Celestial Realms is out, and Monty's one of the writers on that. So, hey, go buy that book.
Doing the Lord's work, Monty. Doing the Lord's work.
Jeremy, do you have any like new articles out for HuffPo?
Every article that I've been writing about for HuffPo lately has something to do with Trump, and it actually makes me a bit physically ill.
Okay, so none of that.
So none of that. I mean, at the end of the stream when we talk about project, I mean, I've written some stuff for my blog, but every formal article that I've had to write about has been quite painful.
I'm so sorry. But you know what? It's going to be less painful spending time with everyone else here. Spending time with our chat and reading and talking about L5R. Even the hard parts of L5R are made easier when we are working together. So let's get into Phoenix Clan.
Sorry, I got an update.
Oh, Steve, go for it.
It's actually a Dungeons and Asians update. It's the actual play that we do on Asians Represent.
Wait, is this an update? I don't know about this update.
You don't know about this update.
Oh,
we're going to save it to the end of the stream, and I'll be putting it on camera, that update.
Oh, that! You have that.
Let's continue on. Phoenix Clan, right?
Guys,
No, Steve,
come on.
wait, hold
ominous.
up. Steve, you can't show that on this stream. We got to do it when we do Dungeons and Asians.
I'll show a piece of it.
Okay, fine.
So ominous.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. I can't believe you did that to me, Steve. You can't. Oh my God. So the Phoenix Clan, immediately there's a very big aesthetic change here. We're just looking at the art. The Phoenix is a symbol of contradictions, explosive power and great restraint, vast intelligence and deep humility, immolating self-sacrifice and glorious rebirth. These entwined virtues illuminate the path of Rokugan's most mystical great clan, the keepers of the Tao of Shinsei and caretakers of the Emperor's soul. As the scent of incense wafts unseen to all corners of a shrine, so do the spirit realms overlap invisibly with the realm of mortals. The Phoenix mediate between the worlds, appealing to the very soul of the lands. Mountains collapse at their whispered requests. Dry rivers are convinced to flow again. Plagues are banished. Restless ghosts are returned to slumber, and crops flourish in previously barren wastelands. Nevertheless, the Phoenix understand that even the purest wish can have unintended and destructive consequences if the elements are brought out of balance. Although others consider the Phoenix too hesitant in their entreaties to the Kami, few are foolhardy enough to test the Phoenix's dedication to peace and harmony. The Kami Shiba and the priest Isawa were very different sorts of leaders, one humble and the other prideful, one calm in his wisdom and the other fierce in his brilliance. As such, people expect members of the Phoenix Clan to be calm, thoughtful, and scholarly, but also passionate, and sometimes even arrogant due to the vast knowledge their clan maintains. Both Shiba and Isawa were deeply spiritual. This bond has defined the Phoenix Clan since its earliest days. And people still expect members of the Phoenix Clan to be more concerned with cosmic problems than with matters mundane.
That is by far the longest description of the clans we have read thus far. Whereas it's lions fight, dragons meditate. This is like the Phoenix talk with mountains and make them collapse and rivers flow again. Wow.
It's my least favorite so far. Right off the bat, it's my least favorite so far. I mean, there are things about it that I kind of like. I like the idea of like dry. I like that line. Dry rivers are convinced to flow again. I think that's pretty cool. But what I don't like is that they're like, do you know what makes the Phoenix stand out? People have a broad range of emotions. They can be calm, but also really boastful. I don't know why that has to be unique to a clan. I get that there are cultures that emphasize humility and things like that. But when they make like these really broad generalizations about people and how they're spiritual and every single person is mystical, I don't get that. Because like as someone Kara in our Discord pointed out, like these clans consist of like hundreds of thousands of people. And so these descriptions are making like really broad generalizations about large groups of people. This is the equivalent of basically saying like, oh yes, all people from this region of Japan are mystics. Like that's the part I don't like. I mean, there is certainly evocative text here, and I get why this clan is here, like from like a game design perspective. But I think a big problem with the clans so far is that they make these generalizations about all of these people, but generalizations in ways that aren't necessarily that like an anthropologist would struggle to label as like culture. I don't know if you agree with me, but that's how I feel at an instant.
I completely understand that. That is one of the problems I have with Phoenix. It's just kind of like it feels like all these people are the same to us, kind of thing. That's what it feels like. But a little bit of lore background. As all the other clans are, the champions come from the descendant of the kami that founded the clan. Mm-hmm. So Hida, Akodo, etc., etc., etc. Phoenix is an outlier. The champion is a Shiba, yes, but their entire clan is ruled by the Elemental Council, who most of them are Isawa. There's only one member of the Elemental Council that's not an Isawa, and that's she's an Asako. But the important thing here is, whereas all other humans bowed down to the kami, the Phoenix was the kami bowed down to a human, because the kami needed the human's help, and the human was reluctant to give that help. Isawa did not want to help Shiba, so Shiba really needed the help. So Shiba humbled himself and kneeled before a human, and said, my family will swear fealty to you if you will help me." So it is. I understand the tension, but that just, again, I'm not excusing it. I'm just explaining through lore that this is what happened, in that kind of, I guess, led the Phoenix to be that way.
It's quite a flowery description of them.
Yeah.
And like, it's hard to, if you're a newbie reading this, it's hard to pin down exactly what this clan does. If you have some knowledge of the setting, and if you have some knowledge of RPGs in general, you can assume that, oh, maybe this is the magic using class, the celestial realms class, the priests, the whatever. But for a newbie reading through this, whereas it's kind of easy to determine what the rest of the clans do, this one is very, like, it's a lot.
The Phoenix do everything except for fight.
Very much.
Yeah.
Actually, they do that too.
Yeah. I got a lore question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I were world building and creating Rokugan, and this was the text that was given to me, with the Phoenix clan, in my head, the Phoenix clan might actually be the most powerful.
They are.
Are they? Because they literally say they can control crops.
They literally can. In the start of the game, now it has been proven, it has been explained in lore that it's actually not the Phoenix's fault. But there was a giant tsunami that crashed on Crane lands and completely decimated their crops, and is still impacting Crane lands today. The Phoenix, for the longest time, thought it was them. The Phoenix thought for the longest time they caused it. And it was like, oh my God, we can't ever let anyone know about this. They still think that it's them. But in reality, it was the Mantis.
See, I wish that was here. So, somebody in the chat, Endless in the chat, said that the Phoenix are literally half Shugenja, as in half of their samurai can speak to the kami. And they said, this same chat member said, their spirituality is very tangible.
It is. The way I describe the Phoenix, the way I describe Phoenix Shugenjas is Saint Francis with first strike capabilities.
Okay.
Interesting image.
Yeah, it's very interesting image.
From this, I can't tell what you do with a Phoenix clan character.
Let me show you. Hopefully, I'm gonna let me send a picture. Hopefully, this explains a little bit better.
Because it kind of overlaps with the other spirituality and more religious clans and
the
families
dragon?
we've looked at already.
I can see it becoming handy in like a campaign like the Wheel of Judgment one, where you're actually communing with like spirits and potentially kami directly, but it is a little nebulous.
So who is this?
This is he doesn't have a name. He probably had a name in the old game. I don't remember it, but this is an image from a card called Display of Power. It's a Phoenix card, and gameplay wise, you have, in order for you to play this card, you have to let an attack come to you, and you cannot defend against the attack. It's demonstrating the Phoenix's pacifism, but at the same time, it's saying I may lose this, but you're not going to win either. So imagine an entire army marching itself down a mountain pass, and two Phoenix Shugenjas on either end, without just collapsing the pass on itself. Thousands of men defeated by two. That's the Phoenix.
So do they wield the most power then? Like, do they have decision-making control? Could they ever no?
No, they tend to the Empire Soul, and that's it. They are the priests of Rokugan. If they have to defend against another clan, they absolutely will. They understand that they cannot show weakness also. That's why they maintain a standing army. Because if the lion ever saw weakness, the lion would not hesitate to march their army into Phoenix lands and take it all.
This picture somewhat bothers me because it looks like he's self-immolating, and knowing how this game kind of takes real world culture and
so
messes around with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As far as cultural sensitivity goes,
Yeah.
this is all, it's like, okay, bad writing and like not engaging writing, whatever, right? It is what it is. But as I was reading through this, the immolating self-sacrifice part was like very like haunches up. What are you trying to describe here? So if you read National Geographic and you know anything about Vietnam, you know that Thich Quang Duc had self-immolated as a monk who self-immolated as a political protest. That is, and it was seen as like the greatest picture of like photograph of like that year. It has like won tons of awards, and the story is tragic and gruesome, and it ticks off all the boxes to just like be the thing that everyone in the entire world wants to talk about. And here I see this like vague kind of like, yeah, we're going to talk about some like immolation and self-sacrifice. And I worry. They haven't said anything yet where I'm like, I think you're going to do this a dirty, but my haunch is already up. And that's just like the kind of, it's tough when you write for an Asian audience with these kind of themes, because you kind of walk into this and you may or may not know.
Yeah, I mean, they use the words immolating self-sacrifice, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're trying to be literal about it.
Correct.
We'll see, because we have
the Phoenix thing too.
The Phoenix thing, yeah. We haven't even gotten to. I mean, do they talk about? I'm assuming they talk about seppuku in this book.
Oh yeah. Later on,
we'll see. I guess when we get there.
Last thing is, I'm a little confused about the barrier between cosmic and mundane, especially in this Rokugan setting. And that's partly why I can't really tell what exactly this clan is really doing. It's like, what counts as cosmic when you're all living with the gods and
yeah,
things are all over the place.
Well, I mean, it's a part of them is just I think it's the writing team trying to create like an other within this nation of others that they are creating.
I mean, Rokugan has like a whole pantheon of like gods, and like it has like planes, kind of like in D&D, like sort of. And I think that is kind of what their description is meant to evoke in somebody who's somewhat familiar with like the idea of like cosmic adventuring in an RPG.
I mean, Emma, is your point about everyone like champions being descendant of these kami and everyone like the spirits being kind of all around?
Yeah, I just I don't know what counts as mundane and what would be like next level. If they're only really concerned with the cosmic, then what does that mean? Where do you draw the lines?
That's an anthropologist question.
Yeah, and also like the huge trend in archaeology to stop automatically dividing between like sacred and mundane as if that means anything.
There's There is maybe one little anecdote from about the Phoenix from in lore. There was at one point the station of the Emerald Champion and the Jade Champion. The Emerald Champion was supposed to enforce the Emperor's physical, mundane laws, anything that regards to do with the physical realm. The Jade Champion is supposed to look after the spiritual laws of the Empire, things like forbidden magic, etc., like that. The Phoenix was so pissed off that the Emperor even deigned to create the position of the Jade Champion that they had it essentially abolished.
Why?
And it's like, we are the only one that administers the spiritual to the spiritual life of Rokugan.
What's the design
they're
choice between
not?
picking two green stones?
The green guys, yeah. I don't know.
The Rokugan is the Emerald Empire, so that was the Emerald Champion, and Jade just because
Asian.
Jade.
Because Asian.
Because Asian. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Shirt.
Because Asian. No, I mean seriously. Interesting. But anyways, let's read this blue text because the blue text has kind of helped. I'm gonna skip the red text because it's just gonna tell us that the same stuff again. The Phoenix Clan values balance and the Tao of Shinsei for more than the other clans, seeking harmony between the mortal and spiritual realms as well as harmony within themselves. Sounds Dragon Clan. The Phoenix know that every step sends ripples throughout the world, so one must tread lightly and with a peaceful heart, lest one's actions sow disharmony and even chaos. Such restraint, however, is frequently viewed as cowardice or passivity by the other clans. Sorry. Oof, today's rough. Okay, it's the same sort of stuff. They're mediators between the spirit realms. But wasn't there a whole clan, like a minor clan, that are basically spirit hunters?
Falcon Clan.
Falcon, right?
Yeah.
The cool one.
They're ghost hunters.
The ghost hunters.
Yeah, I think these ones, I get the feel like more medium type stuff, more spiritual stuff. Whereas I feel like the Falcon was more like, what up, YouTube? Here we are at this haunted house.
Got some EMF readings here. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, but
The Falcon is more of Zach Bragan's and Ghost and the Travel Channel ghost shows, whereas the Phoenix is more of I don't know if you guys ever watched the ghost shows, but the Phoenix is more Dead Files.
I'm
like
so scared.
Cerebral ghost hunter.
Like the Falcon Clan, they're always just like looking straight at the camera, be like, "Do you see something?"
That could be a funny campaign, like Falcon Clan and Phoenix Clan going ghost busting, like in the Shadowlands for some reason.
And then there's one Crab Clan member, and they're like a pragmatist, and there's like no such thing as ghosts, all explainable by science. Let me go to my lab. And taint. Sorry,
Demons are real.
Taint.
Ghosts are not.
Taint to science, though. Taint to science. We've established that taint to science.
Yeah.
It's like in settings where they're like magic is just a highly advanced form of science. Taint is scientific. There's all these rules.
It's like alchemy.
Like how you have magic systems in games. There's a taint system.
Oh God. Let's move on.
So I know you wanted to skip the red part, but actually I think what does Bushido mean to your clan?
Good point.
This one is. I want to talk about it.
Do you want to read
a little bit? I'm happy to. So righteous. What does Bushido mean to your clan? Righteousness drives the samurai of the Phoenix Clan in their pursuits, and they are willing to sacrifice themselves to ensure the right thing is done. They know that when samurai do not govern their lands justly, the heavens themselves will voice their displeasure. At the same time, some truths must not be revealed to the world, and some mysteries are not meant for the other samurai clans. The Phoenix Clan takes a selective view of sincerity, certain in their belief that they are the best equipped to protect and wield certain knowledge. See another page for more about honor and glory. So the only thing I want to say is that I have like this internal tracker here of how many times we're going to say self-sacrifice. And considering phoenixes and the firebird, my haunches are up. I'm just like, am I going to experience a microaggression as I read through this part? Maybe. Let's see.
It's not exactly subtle.
No.
Yeah.
And maybe that's another thing to talk about. It's kind of like when you live this kind of marginalized life, you take the less subtle microaggressions, you just kind of like wave them off. You just like let it roll off your back. You can only really give your energy to the really egregious ones. So it's really easy for a company, a book, a designer to just kind of bake these microaggressions in, and no one says anything about it because the people who would say something about it are already too tired.
Yeah.
The one thing, as a Phoenix player, and as somebody who actually identifies as a Phoenix character, I mean, my cosplay character is Asako Tenba. He is a Phoenix. The self-sacrifice is never to the point where I am going to have to give up my life. The self-sacrifice is, what do I need to do to get this job done? What is it? Is that person is going to be tainted unless I do this thing? Can I pay? Am I willing to pay that price to help this person not get tainted?
I love that view. And sorry, I feel like we talk about this every single session, which is good. And that, like, I love the SAR DLC a lot.
I mean, we need a day 1 SAR patch or the year 5 SAR patch on L5R.
And both things are true. That, like, the SAR patch is amazing, and it makes you really, like, you tell me that and I'm like, okay, maybe I do want to play Phoenix because that really resonates with me, right? But from the text, and I'm sorry if this comes off combative, from the text, I'm trying to express that just it reads off, and I'm just like, do I have to be prepared now? Do I have to suck in my gut, plant my feet, as it were? Sorry, I kind of interrupted you though.
No, I think, Steve, I mean, I personally don't think that's combative, but you were talking to SAR. I think that, like, SAR's L5R is the L5R that I want to play. Like, I would love to play L5R for that. And I think, like, Con L5R is not the L5R I want to play because I know what we're reading right now is the Con L5R. I think the tension here is on this idea of self-sacrifice and what L5R and FFG and I guess the legacy of AEG are trying to say about self-sacrifice and what we as players want self-sacrifice to be portrayed as to wider audiences. Right? Steve is kind of leaning on the, like, well, they're talking about, like, immolating self-sacrifice and the burning, and then talk about, you know, like, Vietnam and those very real things, and then the stereotypes we already have to deal with about, you know, Asian people and particularly Japanese people and how historically they have dealt with shame and dishonor, and how they are portrayed in media as reacting to shame and dishonor, and it's usually ritual suicide, right, in samurai movies. But then there's SAR's idea of, you know, what is self-sacrifice? And that doesn't necessarily have to deal with your life. And self-sacrifice can simply mean, you know, giving up something emotional, giving up something you care about, be it, you know, part of your humanity in the game or an item that you care about. Self-sacrifice can come in many different forms. And SAR's view of self-sacrifice is one that we should have. But the binary that, you know, a lot of, you know, Japanese media written by white people, we see as, like, self-sacrifice is either, like, you know, you're giving up your life or you are bringing shame to yourself and your family and your ancestors. That whole bit. And I think that's the root of this tension here with the Phoenix clan, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Some of this, you know, SAR feeling could be injected into the game if just the way these clans were described were changed. So it's not just like this wall of text talking about, you know, flowery things that these clans do. If it's more like, okay, if you choose to play as this character, this is what Bushido could potentially mean to you. This is what self-sacrifice could potentially mean to you. These are some examples that you can potentially play around with to, you know, develop your character and make them human. But we don't have that guidance here. We just have a wall of text that we will then interpret in however, you know, however ways our personal experiences make us interpret things. And, you know, for Steve, that self-immolation thing comes up. And yeah, I think some newer RPG books are describing characters and character classes in more of that way, but this one did not.
I like it when indie RPGs ask you questions.
Yeah.
They're like, well, what does self-sacrifice mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's really interesting, and I think this game would benefit from something like that. And I want to say this because I don't think we say this enough. Like, we talk about the flaws of this game, and we talk about, like, well, it could be written better like this. One of the things I think we also need to consider as, like, you know, 4 of us here, you know, are, like, either writers who work for like, you work for the HuffPo, or like Monty, Steve, myself, who work in RPGs writing. There are times when we might write something and it's exactly how we want it. And then there are people who are above us who want to make changes that don't necessarily reflect our initial ideas. So I mean, while these are these flaws are very true, especially with the Phoenix Clan, because I think this is a touchy subject here, the idea of self-sacrifice and what that means in portrayals of Japan. I think we also, as like us and the audience, need to consider that there are more than just writers at hand here. There are like creative directors, there are editors, and then there are varying levels of power in the creative process here, right? And we see this a lot in cultural consulting, sensitivity reading. Emma and I recently worked on a gig together, and it was great because it's the first time Emma and I have gotten to work together in this industry, and we had a lot of constructive feedback for the client, but there's a power imbalance there. Emma and I are able to tell the client that they should do this, but the onus is on the client to actually do that. And we don't have any say. So like, I want us to be aware of these power dynamics in the creative process of writing an RPG or doing anything creative. So when we go out and we say like, the writers are shit, or you've done this, like, let's think about this. Let's keep that in mind. I want us to be a little bit more, understanding and empathetic of the creative process behind these books. Yes, the final product has flaws, but let's also consider all of the different people involved in making this product. And let's not assume that everybody involved in making these products think that way. Because we know Monty right here has worked on L5R, and Monty is glorious. As glorious as the commie, insert commie name. But like, I want us to be aware of that before we go any further, because this is going to be a tough subject, and especially when we go to other clans like the Unicorn and the Scorpion. So let's keep going. Sorry, I took that into a very serious direction.
That's okay.
It's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
So I think from here we can move on to the Phoenix Clan families, which is page 53. So
I like that armor. I'm sorry, I was going to say it. I like that armor. I think it's cool.
Like the wings are like, yeah, I think it's really, really cool. I think it's kind of campy with like the eyes on the top of the helmet. But in the end, I just like it. I think it's
the
cool.
emblem right at the center. It's like a Power Rangers thing for me.
But yeah, when we start.
Sorry, do you want to read the Asako family?
Yes, that is my family. The Asako are a quiet family, viewed as being content to follow their scholarly and philosophical pursuit while the Isawa drive the goals of the Phoenix. The Asako prize knowledge, but they prize wisdom even more, and they use their studies to advance their spiritual evolution as well as their political agendas. The Asako serve as courtiers for the Phoenix, and they are much in demand as court scholars and tutors across the empire.
Cool.
Nerdbirds.
So, nerdbirds. So question, if you are, and this is still something I kind of struggle to comprehend with L5R. So with the Asako family, that actually sounds really cool. I like that. I'd play that. But in L5R, they explicitly state that you are a samurai, a warrior class. And I get that samurai were just fighting in battles. They were also intellectuals. But how do you play in L5R as a samurai, but also as like, I'm a court scholar samurai, or I'm a tutor samurai? What do you do?
Well, I'm going to link a picture here. This guy is a character that kind of I basically model my character, Asako Tenba, as a younger version of Asako Meizawa. Asako Meizawa is an inquisitor. He is a scholar. Above all, he knows scrolls. He has studied all of magic, and he knows like proper magic versus any magic, and he can detect any magic that is quote unquote forbidden in Rokugan, such as black magic or tainted magic or communing with the Kansen. in his duty as an inquisitor, sometimes he will have to fight. He is a scholar. He knows how to track these down. He knows how to appease the spirit. He knows how to tame the spirits if need be. But he also knows that sometimes he's going to have to break up a blood speaker cell.
I really like this piece of art.
Yeah, I like it too. He looks dope.
It's like one of those really well dressed older Asian dudes who's super fashionable. That's the impression I get out of this.
Hey, Sar, once again, going into the potential micro RPGs of L5R, can there be like a campaign where it's like, L5R, like a Kumon Institute, like just tutoring school run by like the Asako family, and it's like all these nobles sending their kids to like get tutoring.
And the kids don't want to be there because it's Kumon?
It's basically, you can actually do like a high school RPG with the Phoenix Clan. These Asako would be the teachers, the Shiba are the jocks, Kaitos are like the cheerleaders, and the Shibas are like the super students.
That's
It hits
too much.
quite close to
That's too
home.
much.
It hits very close to home, but I don't know. I think I might play it depending on the GM.
Monster Hearts.
L5R Monster Hearts. Oh my god. That's just like some next level shit Monty just made.
I'm in.
Can we play L5R Monster Hearts? Because I would do that.
You know what? Yeah, you can. You need an Asako, and you need Phoenix and Crab. You got L5R Monster Hunter. And
No, Monster Hearts. You said Monster Hearts, right, Monty?
I said Monster Hearts.
I think that's super good. And I think that Steve and I were reacting to Monster Hearts, not Monster Hunter.
Oh yeah, no, I want Monster Hearts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you could do Monster Hearts with this clan, or maybe like Crane Clan. Like I think it's possible. Like L5R High School, L5R School Drama.
Yeah.
School drama, I think definitely.
Make it feel. Give me the feels. Yeah.
Get one of those Crane exchange students or something.
Oh my god. This is this is like we gotta do this. Like of all the ideas we've ever had, this is the best one.
There is like the Genpuku exam, which is like your standardized test to Rokugan.
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's the
Gotta send you to Asako After School Academy to
yeah.
get better. like this is what?
And there could be like there's like a legit like tutoring academy. Then there's like the cram school one, like the Bushiban one. That's like if you want your kids to go there to like learn super fast. I don't know.
Oh my god. This has to happen.
You can do it with the Phoenix. Yeah.
Okay, let's keep reading before we get sidetracked by this idea.
Too late.
Too late. Okay, let's keep reading. Who wants to read the Isawa family? Sorry, I'm just thinking about Monster Hearts and L5R now, and I want this to happen.
Jeremy, you want to take us away here?
Yeah, sure. The Isawa family, the elemental masters who sit on the Council of Five, are the true rulers of the Phoenix. And these masters are almost always drawn from the Isawa. As one of the oldest Shugenja families in the Empire, the Isawa have had centuries to learn to commune with the spirits and the most effective ways to request their blessings. Some might confuse authority with arrogance, but at heart they are pious and dutiful, devoted to ensuring harmony and balance.
Okay. Pretty standard.
Yeah, they're typical magic users. If you're an Isawa, you're a magic user.
Pious and dutiful. Yeah. Okay, cool. The Kaito family. Small Kaito family.
By the way, real quick, before we read the Kaito family are a new family to FFG's L5R.
Oh, so they weren't in AEG.
They were not in AEG at all.
Okay, that's good to know.
So this is everything about the Kaito is completely fresh.
Interesting.
The small Kaito family has been given the task of safeguarding the many shrines scattered across Phoenix Holdings, from small altars sheltered by a single tree to massive sanctuaries. To fulfill their responsibilities, the Kaito have mastered the use of charmed arrows and prayers to protect the shrines from spiritual foes, and practical archery to fend off more mortal dangers. The Kaito are rarely seen outside of Phoenix lands, as they have so many tasks within, but they occasionally make pilgrimages to visit other shrines. I love it.
I like that a lot.
I love it.
That's really good. Like I can
super
imagine a
cool.
whole campaign just defending like multiple shrines. I'm like thinking like L5R Tenchi Muyo, where your like job is just like taking care of a shrine and like some crazy stuff happens. Yeah.
I just like, I think it'd be so cool if it was like, you know, a Kaito family, and it's just like a bunch of Kaito teens who are assigned to a shrine, and they're going to learn how to take care of it. And all of a sudden, all of the adults have to go to war or something, and then something's happening at one of these shrines, and then these teens have to sort out what to do.
That's great. Yeah, that's good stuff.
You don't know how that is actually exactly what's happening with the Kaito family right now. That really is what's happening with the Kaito family.
Kaito Teen Adventures.
They are the newest family amongst all the families. They are the newest major families amongst all the families. They were only recently created because of the acts and of their current daimyo Kaito Kasori, and they are basically Mako. They are shrine maidens. They are very matrilineal family, where most of the abilities are passed down through the mother's line, and the best way to differentiate them between the Isawa and the Kaito is this: the Isawa is a village elder who's and there's a dog in the village, and the dog will follow the village elder because the village elder commands respect, right? So that's Isawa's relationship with the kami. However, there's this woman in that same village that the dog just likes because the dog just likes that woman. Right? That is the kami's relationship with the Kaito. The Kaito cannot speak or command the kamis directly, but the kamis just does whatever the Kaito wants because the kamis just like the Kaito.
I like the Kaito a lot.
I also like Inuyasha.
I also like Inuyasha.
This is hilarious to me. And hilarious in the best way. Just like be campy, just take it and like recreate it. This is fun.
But here's the thing,
cool
though.
I like this family a lot.
But it's like it's campy, but it doesn't play on really like stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like oh, we're mystical caretakers of shrines. It's like, yeah, they maintain shrines and they use charmed arrows, which is really neat because it's like, oh, do you like shoot an arrow and you create like a ward, like a barrier, and then like, oh, there's a bandit, shoot you. Like, I think it's neat.
Yeah.
And you can have that mystical stuff if you want to. If you want to like talk about the shrines, you can
but
have
it isn't.
that.
But it isn't. But it isn't telling you that you have to be mystical like that.
You can have the cool samurai fighting, like talking about these arrows. Like that's really awesome. But it's presented in a really appealing way. It's a good paragraph. It's probably my favorite paragraph in the book so far.
In our Monster Hearts game, I would want to play a kid in the Kaito family who just wants to do archery. But then they're like, you have to study the spiritual stuff, and I don't want to, and I just want to do archery.
I just linked an alternate art to Kaito Kasori. We'll see her main art in the book later.
Oh.
Why did you post this Inuyasha fan art in our
chat?
Well, that is a card. That is actual art from a card. It's a promo card, but it's a card, playable card for the card game. That is Kaito Kasori.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
I always thought Kikyo was kind of a wet blanket, but anyways.
Steve, come on. Steve. Focus. Okay, the Shiba family. Before Steve talks more about Inuyasha.
Inuyasha.
The Shiba family descends from the Kami Shiba and provides the Phoenix with the champion. But it bent the knee to the Isawa family early in its history and has dutifully served it ever since. The Shiba focus on keeping the Phoenix clan safe and rely first and foremost on diplomacy before resorting to force. They are expected to be learned in scholarly ways as well as the warrior arts, and they understand the Shugenja they serve better than do most Bushi families. I think that's good too.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the one thing that you will. This is a very common trope when you're doing, and it's very easy to fall into, is that, and this is the one problem I have with the Shiba family, with just lore-wise, is the Shiba always falls in love with the Isawa because the Shiba's always protecting the Isawa, and it's just kind of like the bodyguard falling in love with the protector, or the protectoree falling in love with the bodyguard. It's just like, is there another story? I don't hate the Shiba family. I mean, Shiba Tsukune, I think it's a very well written plan when she's not fighting over Tanaka.
But that's not in here.
No, but it's just it's very easy to fall into that trope. I feel with the Shiba family, especially if there's like if you are charged with protecting, with somebody.
Right.
No one ever just grows to really dislike who they're protecting.
They always fall in love.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Shiba Tsukune. I mean, probably one of the best written female characters in L5R, and she still has a schoolgirl crush on her ex.
This is just another reason to play Monster Hearts and just do it better.
And I am linking her art, by the way.
And see, if the thing is, if we play Monster Hearts, that would mean that Emma's first TTRPG experience might be Monster Hearts. That's a good one.
It's a good one.
That's a really good one.
Going to be an experience no matter what. So.
Okay, so again, who is this character?
This is Shiba Tsukune, champion of the Phoenix Clan and the youngest champion in all Rokugan. She is 17 years old.
I think the art's pretty cool.
The art is amazing. Her ability is amazing too, although she doesn't see play because her card's bad.
Oh,
That's
okay.
so bad.
Well, okay. It's like when you play a game, you're like, I really like this person, and everybody tells you that they're bad. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's like when I play. It's like when we play League of Legends, and I'm like, I really like Teemo because Teemo looks cute, and they're like, don't play Teemo, everyone will hate you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Actually, okay, so this is nothing to do with in-game lore. This is actually it's L5R LCG lore, and this has been codified as at the very first World Championship. There's a card called Way of the Crab. Basically, kill one of your characters and then kill another character that somebody else control.
Hold on. Why is that Way of the Crab? That was not in the crab lore.
It's a mechanic of the game.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering because you say like LCG lore and then game lore, but I thought the two were like the same.
Like real life.
Oh,
LCG,
okay.
Like what happened at a tournament, real life.
Oh, okay, cool.
So,
I think that distinction is important for the audience.
Yes, this is like a real life lore, what actually happened at a game. So Phoenix player played Shiba Tsukune with a whole bunch of extra resources on it. Crab player plays Way of the Crab and killed his character and killed Shiba Tsukune. Saddest round one moment ever. It's like for me. Seeing my clan champion die round one like that. She didn't even get to do anything. And it was on stream. It happened on stream at the World Championships.
I shouldn't be laughing. That's really sad.
That's really funny.
It's kind of funny.
It's funny. We still give him crap for it. We still give the guy who did that crap for it. To this day, we don't let him forget that mistake.
That's so because it's just like Kaiba. I play Dark Magician. Trap card. It's over.
Pretty much.
Oh.
This art was apparently drawn by the same artist who does stuff on Legends of Runeterra for Riot.
Oh, the Legends of Runeterra art is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same artist as the one that did the core book illustration.
Yeah. Sean Ignatius Tan did this. He also did he did most of the other clan championship, and he collaborated with another artist. I can't remember whose name I can't remember right now, on a couple of like 2 or 3 of them.
I like this. Anyways, let's move on. We've done Shiba. Now we're going into our different schools. Scroll the page.
74. Yeah.
Oh, no, we already did this one. 74. You're right. Okay. Oh, that's that same guy.
Art.
That's the same.
Yeah.
That's the same person. I like the other one way better because he's got the swords.
Mm-hmm. That is also Asako Meizawa.
Mm-hmm.
It's still good art, but yeah, the other one was better. The Asako lore masters studied widely, and from that broad and firm base, they developed their specialties. It is rare for a lore master not to have at least passing knowledge of a subject, no matter how obscure. Acting as the courtiers of the Phoenix, the Asako lore masters marshal arguments against their expertise in the revered knowledge of the past. One should look for an Asako first in the library and then in court, usually deep in discussion. Few care to challenge an Asako lore master on the field of knowledge, as such disputations are often one of the highlights of the court. Interesting. Okay, so they're super smart, well read.
Cool. I mean, like, it's clear. It's
Yeah,
clear.
it's clear. You know, one of the things I'm glad they didn't do is they're arrogant about their knowledge. Like, you can make your character arrogant about their knowledge, but they don't say that here, which I like.
They've said arrogant in other places, though. This does sound a little insufferable, but you know,
can be.
I think it could be insufferable.
I guess academics are kind of insufferable.
Actually,
well, actually, but
hey Emma, did you see this this ancient soybean that I've been carrying around in my pocket all the...
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah.
I'm also very happy. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's a reference to our supervisor. Don't worry about it.
I was gonna say I really appreciate them just skirting around the trope of like Asians and like being very studious and like corporal punishment and like all that kind of stuff. They just like
the mastery ability is called insufferable genius.
Okay, so let's read that.
Good ability,
so,
actually.
All right. Insufferable was an accurate word then.
After you succeed at a check to acquire or remember information, you may spend 1 void point and choose any number of characters with whom you can communicate. You must describe how the knowledge you acquired helps each character you choose. Each of those characters reduces the target number of their next check by 1 to a minimum of 1 and suffers 1 strife. That's super
He suffers strife.
Yeah. Oh no.
It's a cool ability. That can be pretty fun.
That's pretty cool. But they don't have to call it insufferable genius because the name does not really like read into the rest of the text.
Yeah. It would be one hell of a trivia night with these guys.
It would be. It would be.
Oh my. Yeah, I don't know. At least they didn't do the punishment over studies and homework and all that.
Yeah.
There's Phoenix schools here. There's the little blue text. As caretaker of the Emperor's soul, the Phoenix clan imparts this theological wisdom throughout all of its schools. A reverence for the spirits is instilled in the students of every dojo, and the wisdom of the Tao of Shinsei is a fundamental part of every lesson taught. Just as the 4 elements combine to form something greater, together the warriors, priests, scholars, and mystics carry out the Phoenix's mission of ensuring balance and harmony. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move on. Is this the champion here?
That is but done by the same artist. That's actually a card called Fearsome Mystic. No character name.
I really like this. So we've seen like a lot of different art styles and whatnot. I really appreciate when it feels like watercolors and whatnot in this kind of book. I just feel like it feels very natural. It's kind of like a knowing wink to like the reader potentially, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, they kill it with the art here. The quality of the art in this book has just been top notch.
You want me to read this one?
Yeah, sure.
No tradition has a more complete mastery of the way of the spirits than that of the Isawa elementalist school. Since the time before the kami fell to earth, the priests of the Isawa have sought knowledge and understanding of the kami, the fortunes, and the very elements themselves. Over the centuries, they have perfected the rituals and supplications to request great boons on behalf of the Phoenix clan and terrible banes for casting down their enemies. Yet, they know that the spirits require service in exchange for their blessings, making the Isawa elementalists hesitant to call upon the kami except in times of great need. To do so without cause is to risk upsetting the delicate balance of the natural world or bring the wrath of the spirits upon them.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good, Steve.
This reminds me of Yuna in Final Fantasy X. Like the summoning that she does and like going through that ritual to like well, I forget what she was called, but basically to
Descending.
become, to be like a summoner to gain that power.
I'm
Yeah,
looking at the art because Sar sent us like a bigger image of the art. Interesting. I want to know what kind of spells she's casting.
It's an air spell. That's all I know because she has an air Shugenja.
Oh, okay. One of the things I like about this is that they use their power in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's kind of I guess. It's not the
It's-
Kaito. It's not the Kaito family.
It's honestly, the Isawa is your generic. It's your generic spellcaster.
Yeah.
It's your generic spellcaster. That is really the Isawa. The only thing, I mean, I think the reason why they made it the Elemental Council are all Isawas is because they needed to make the Isawa a little bit more interesting. Otherwise, they're just spellcasters.
I mean, it's clear. There's value in clarity, right? Just like it is what it is. Not great, but I find nothing where I'm like, oh no, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't. Master of
blue.
Elements, Mastery Ability. Once per
It's kind of
round,
boring. I mean,
you
I think
perform
it's
an
kind of-
invocation. You spend 1 void point to switch to any other stance and perform another invocation that shares no action type. So you cast 2 basically.
So the sidebar thing, the Isawa Elemental School teaches its students invocations by elemental names, for they were the first to apply the philosophy of Shinsei's 5 elements to their interactions with the spirits. What are these?
What does that mean?
In chapter 4, like certain spells, like your invocation rank 1 is called Blessed Wind. That's what the Isawa will call it. But if you're an alchemist, you may call it a bottled dust storm. Like if you're a Nagasha, you call it a bottled dust storm. If you were a foreigner, like a unicorn that's bringing Mishoto into the fight, you may be calling that same spell Column of the World. That's just flavor, basically flavor.
Yeah, page 192. It's got a whole bunch of spells with fancy names.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll
This is
get
very
there.
much like shout out the name of your attack as you do
Pretty
it.
much.
Yeah.
I mean, if a game enables me to just shout out the name of my attack.
There's one called Earth Becomes Sky.
Oh, we don't talk about that card.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay, let's. Jeremy, what have you done?
I don't know. I just literally picked a random one right here. My apologies.
All right. Should I read Shiba?
Yeah, let's go to Shiba.
Shiba Guardian School. They are Bushi and Courtier. As Shiba swore to protect Isawa, so the Shiba Guardian School emphasizes the defense of and cooperation with the Isawa. Its members complement and protect priests, shrine keepers, and Shugenja. The Shiba Guardians are broadly trained, often as much scholars as warriors, and they approach conflict as a problem to be solved without bloodshed if possible. Those who underestimate them due to their reluctance to take a life usually only do so once. The Shiba Guardians are as devoted to the perfection of the martial arts as any samurai. Their commitment to theological study and long hours of meditation have taught the Shiba Guardians how to dance in harmony with elemental kami called forth by the invocations of the Shugenja. Okay.
Okay.
Any feelings?
I wish there was more dancing.
Yeah.
I was like at the end, I was like, they dance with what? More dancing, please. It's
Dance in harmony.
Yeah. But oh well, I mean, missed opportunity, but nothing like makes me feel like harm.
Yeah. And then
That
their art, yeah. I guess I don't know.
Serene Peacemaker. I actually don't think that's the best. That's Serene Warrior rather. Not the best. I never liked the card, and I never liked the art on the card. It just, I don't know why, but that art always rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know why.
It probably rubs you. Maybe it rubs you the wrong way for the reason I like it, because this is sexy hot
Yes,
art. This is
like-
like not the sword. Who cares about the sword? We're here to see those delts. Like
I was
Like,
like,
Character in
my immediate thought
Samurai
was like,
Showdown that looks like this.
Steve's gonna cosplay this.
But the thing is, like, how would I cosplay this? Because like you get the shot once and then your clothes just fall off, and it's like, well, I guess this is how I have to dress.
You have to have a cosplay handler who is always carrying a fan.
Stand in a strong wind.
Stand in a strong wind
like
all the time.
it would dry out your skin, your eyes would dry out.
Then you have to have Mister at the same time. You need a whole crew, Steve.
Oh, good. Blow water at me. That's gonna be fun for a day.
So we've got air. We've got water. What are the other elements we need to throw at Steve now?
Void. I will throw void at Steve.
It very much looks like there's fire happening in this art.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is probably why he's taking his clothes off because
he's on fire.
Warm. He's warm.
One of the things that bugs me personally about the Phoenix clan's like fire imagery, despite the fact they're supposed to be in balance with all of the elements.
That's a good point.
I know Phoenix, Phoenix and fire, but like it seems just that's a my personal world building nitpick.
Yeah, they're really going hard with the fire imagery and connotations, but like, yeah.
Here's the crazy thing about the Phoenix clan.
Let's hear it.
just one thing. Okay, go on.
This one is really nutty about the Phoenix clan. They have a stronger connection to water than fire.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know what to do with that information.
Shiba's wife, and Shiba's wife was a ninja who took on human form. Okay. The ancestral sword of the Phoenix was forged by the ninja. They have aside from the crane and the mantis, they have the longest coastline of all the other clans.
Huh.
So they are, it's weird, but they have this really intense connection to water. A lot of their schools actually give them a bonus. 2 of their schools give them bonus to water.
But I think that kind of feeds into Monty's point. They are in balance with other elements, but FFG is just like fire imagery.
So can I ask a question as someone who like generally doesn't understand many Asian cultures? From a Vietnamese standpoint, phoenixes, birds, like they're basically just really big, powerful birds, as far as I know from my upbringing. Fire is there, of course, but that's just because fire is like a general symbol, right? They're just like big birds that are powerful, kind of like dragons, and they're wise and they're all-knowing and all that good stuff. Not really attuned to fire, but I don't know if that's like how other people have experienced the imagery of phoenixes in your kind of background.
Well, I mean, phoenixes are Greek. Right? That's where the word comes from.
See, that's funny because my family calls them phoenixes, but they don't look like phoenixes. They just look like peacocks.
Well, that's the thing. There's no phoenix in China. It's a feng huang. It's a bird associated with fire. There are multiple birds associated with fire. The vermilion bird is one of them, but the feng huang is a different bird. And they like prey on snakes and they do things like that. Not all of them are like, oh yes, I am reborn from the ashes.
Yeah,
I think an art depiction of what phoenixes look like in the L5R world.
The phoenix that they're playing off of here doesn't exist in China.
No.
My idea of phoenix, as somebody who's from a Southeast Asian culture, is probably more akin to Garuda.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. And the ones in Japan also look like peacocks.
Yeah, like this is not the kind of phoenix you'll see in
yeah.
Like
well, the Japanese
Asia.
Phoenix is based on the Chinese one, so
yeah,
it's all coming across.
You know what I should do? I should bring on the cosplay shoes that I did, because I drew kind of like a more Chinese style phoenix and dragon on my shoes for the Neuron cosplay, Daniel, for your character. Mm-hmm. And that like is very similar to the phoenixes that I see in kind of like weddings and like funerals and things like that.
Yeah.
But the art that you linked, I didn't see that growing up.
Yeah.
No, I don't either.
No, this is for a Western audience, so they understand what they mean by phoenix.
The first time I saw a bird like that was probably Moltres.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm Team Valor, by the way.
Uh-oh.
What?
No, this is Pokemon Go.
Uh-oh.
I see. Bye.
The stream ended. It's over.
I get that more than I like to admit. Where people are just like, oh, instincts? Oh, sweet child. Like, okay, well, thanks.
Sweet Steve.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, it's like in my area, all the instinct. Anytime I need raid, it's like instinct shows up more than any other team.
See, when I started playing Pokemon Go, it was just all ghost Pokemon in my neighborhood. It's like I was like, just why?
You know why, and it's not a good reason.
No, I know. Look, I need to get the Falcon Clan. So one of the things we haven't really touched on is the mastery ability, Stand Your Honor. At the end of your turn, you may spend 1 void point to prepare to fend off advancing foes. This effect persists until the start of your next turn. When an enemy enters the range of one of your readied weapons, you may immediately make a strike action using that weapon and targeting that enemy. If you succeed, the target suffers the immobilized condition in addition to any other effects. I think it's pretty cool narratively.
Sounds really powerful too.
Sounds really powerful. It's just like, I'm going to stand here and anybody who goes past me, I'm just going to just like, knock them all down.
I like it.
But do you think it could have just been called like Stand Your Ground?
It probably should have been called Stand Your Ground.
Instead of Stand of Honor?
Like that, instead of Stand of Honor.
That's the only thing I would have changed.
I think of JoJo, actually. Like, he's got to stand, and it's coming out, and it's of honor.
Oh, JoJo. But yeah, that's the only thing I would have changed. Like, right here, I as a sensitivity reader, I would have been like, let's just take out Stand of Honor, because literally, like, honor doesn't really feature, like, isn't a part of it. It's not a core part of it. Mm-hmm. Right?
Has honor come up at all with this group yet?
They're all about righteousness.
The righteousness.
Righteousness. Yeah. All right.
All right.
I wish I had a very succinct way to describe the cognitive dissonance of like going through stuff and be like, wow, I'm starting to enjoy this again. Like, I'm really starting to like dig the imagery, a lot of the text. Oh, Stand of Honor. And then like you like go all the way back down to the bottom, ground zero, and to start again building up that trust with the book.
It's like it's the opposite experience of reading Oriental Adventures. It's like Oriental Adventures is like, this is shit. Oh, this thing's pretty neat. Then it's back to being shit. This is like, oh, this is kind of cool. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, this is kind of cool. I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of like emotional whiplash for me going through this.
It's also tough because, you know, like this is the Asian TTRPG, and it seems like it's so much better than Oriental Adventures on the surface. And then the more you read, I mean, it is generally better.
It is better.
But the problems are quite nuanced, and I think it gets your hopes up. And then, you know, there are still some. This is still from the DNA of Oriental Adventures, you know, technically speaking.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. Rokugan is probably was supposed to be a sanitized Karator.
This is on the same family tree, so it makes sense that there would still be some issues.
Yeah. So, for my favorite family in the Phoenix Clan. Would anybody else like to read? Or Steve?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I love this art.
I think it's great.
It's so dope.
Sorry, do you have any more? Sarah's like, I got to go find art.
I'll find it now.
Okay, Steve, go ahead.
So, Kaito shrine keepers work alongside priests to protect temples across Phoenix lands, or keep smaller shrines on their own. The Kaito learn mystical arts to propitiate. That's a new word for me. Propitiate the kami. Sometimes even serving as vessels for them. That's interesting. And practical ones to maintain the shrines. Shrine keepers make use of protective magic, such as ofuda, paper charms, and spiritually enhanced archery to defend shrines against threats, both mystical and mundane.
Immediately, it's like, this is a way more interesting arcane archer. Like, way more.
Ofuda. I don't recognize that word.
It's that paper thing that you
put
on like the Chinese vampires to stop them from hopping.
Yeah.
It's
is that a Chinese word or a Japanese word?
It's Japanese.
But it's like that.
Ofuda.
It's like a food talisman, Steve.
Gotcha.
Just think Sailor Mars.
Yes.
Which is, I guess, all of this.
Sailor Scout RPG.
Yeah.
Glitter hearts. That'd be it. Is it glitter hearts? Is that the one?
I don't know what glitter hearts is. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna find out while we.
The reason I don't bring that up is because spirit paper is one of those things where people today still like practice making charms like this. This is a real thing people do, and now it is in our game, a game about demons and this like pastiche of Asianness. On its own, pretty neutral, but packaged along with everything else and like other things that might make you feel uncomfortable. If Ofuda is a very meaningful word to you, you see it written here. This is yet another example where it's like, wow, I lost all trust, and I gotta start building it up again, and you get that emotional whiplash. And I feel for you if that's.
I feel like it's very much used in like pretty much any kind of like Japanese like ghost media. I feel so. I mean, I'm not Japanese though. Maybe Emma has a different opinion to it though.
I have no attachments to Ofuda. I've definitely been given various charms, especially in rural northern Japan. Depending on time of year, there's always charms for different things. But for me, I always just have a hard time with my feelings about taking real Japanese stuff and throwing it in a fantasy setting. And I think this has come up before. So it's like, why did you choose that? And like Steve said, like it could be very meaningful to other people. So like, why that? If this is all make-believe, why not just make up something? Or just say like a charm, like a written paper charm.
They could also just called it papers. They didn't need to use the Japanese word. You know, they didn't need to sprinkle that like fan sub. You know, let's retain the Japanese word in here.
Fan sub.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Keikaku means plan. You know, that type of thing. Like I don't know.
Pause the MKV, read all the subs notes on it really quickly. So an inside joke here.
This book kind of feels like that sometimes.
Well, I mean, like this is one of those instances where it's like this borders on like just bad cultural appropriation, because you take a real like cultural element from contemporary Japan that is still being practiced by people, and then you dilute it into something aesthetic.
I think it's a problem that the RPG genre has in general, like phylacteries in D&D, like with liches and stuff like that. Like it's in general, there's a lot of stuff like that going on in the tabletop role-playing game space and in, you know, the fantasy genre in general. And I think it's a case-by-case decision on the part of every person reading or engaging with this material, whether they want to let that slide. And I think, you know, the game could have just avoided having the players required to make that decision if they had just not used that word.
Yeah. Honestly, if they just cut that bit out there, no problem.
Call it something else. Don't use the Japanese word for it, because you're like calling in this kind of idea, and you're just kind of wielding it in a very clumsy way.
And it's weird. This happens. I'm sorry, Emma. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm just saying, like, this happens a lot with like Japan media made by Western, Western creators. Like, if this game took place in China, I seriously doubt they would throw a lot of Chinese words in there, because people probably wouldn't be able to pronounce them. If it was made in, you know, if it was a Korean setting, I don't know if they throw in Korean words either. I'm not sure. But Japan, because of the influence of Japan and maybe because of anime, like boom, Japanese everywhere.
I don't say this to try to excuse it, and I don't say this as giving them a free pass on it whatsoever. I just in my own perspective, and I'm speaking of somebody who is actually of Chinese descent, but my perspective on it is just what we have seen of shrine keepers as and basically everything that is quote unquote the shrine keeper package when we see them in animes and other fictions. I think what I honestly think, and because this is a fresh family, everything about this family is brand new to the FFG L5R. I think they just took that whole shrine keeper package and put it into the Kaito.
Yeah.
So not trying to make an excuse or anything, but I think I'm just like trying to say that, you know.
No, that is why they did it. I'm pretty sure that is why they did it. But
definitely appreciate those thoughts too. I think my other tension here is that chronologically going through this book, if you had read up to this point, you would have recognized that we have a page devoted, half a page technically, to rice, and like how rice is like stipend to people, and like how people say hello to each other and all that good stuff. And then we get half a sentence for this thing that actually does have true cultural significance right now, and that doesn't say anything explicitly about the creator's intent, but it is hard to just kind of walk past that and not dig deeper into that. And I see that a lot in other RPGs as well.
Is there a Kaito school supplement or a book that details them more?
Not yet, although I haven't really fully read the Celestial Realms. What I have read, haven't really read anything on them except for their roles as shrine keepers.
Interesting.
There's a religious practices chapter, I think, in Celestial Realms, so maybe it's detailed there.
Someone in the chat said, "Oh, you could write out Chinese words in Pinyin if you want to make a Chinese RPG." I would love to see an RPG set in China that had the balls to write stuff out in Pinyin.
Nobody would get it.
Nobody would get it. People can't even pronounce Huawei.
It's Huawei. That's the thing that I'm struggling with.
Xiaomi. It wouldn't work.
Yeah. Well, let's go eat some. Oh no, not even gonna say it. Xiaolongbao.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I struggle with my own stuff. It's like I'm writing a Chinese thing, and I'm like, do I keep the Chinese how it would be anglicized? I'm like, this doesn't do people a lot of favors because they might not be able to pronounce it, and then the way they'll pronounce it will very likely be wrong and mean something very different. It's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is Steve speaking now directly to the camera, where it's like, I would love to see more RPGs, more writing that is unabashedly whatever it is. I don't want to see it diluted. I would appreciate a pronunciation guide like they have in Unbreakable, as well as extra padding to be it's okay if you mispronounce these words. We would really appreciate, though, as the designers, that you try. And I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
go on.
Then you have to go and you have to put a little, for a Chinese thing, you have to put okay, how to read Pinyin, and here's your 4 tones.
Or a kind of quasi pronunciation parentheses thing.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget Cantonese.
Yeah, Cantonese.
You could write
Cantonese.
Or you could go really weird and write it in Wade Giles. It's only Taiwan still uses.
This is an interesting conversation because I'm struggling doing something similar in the short stories I've been writing. Do I anglicize everything, or do I use Pinyin? But then Pinyin is relatively modern, so if I'm writing a fantasy story, it's just so many considerations just for a single word.
For me, it's been a lot of footnotes.
Here's what I would love to see in a book. Language is, of course, cultural. Language is part of your identity. Therefore, language is political. I would love to see that the way names and proper nouns are presented tells you about the world. If a word, it can only pronounce Pinyin, that is a statement about what that word means to the people who say it. If it's a word that can be pronounced in and represented in many different manifestations, that is also I think a political statement about where it lives in the world.
The interesting thing for Pinyin, though, is that this is for Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah.
Right. So if you release a game in North America where more people speak Cantonese than Mandarin, then the Pinyin doesn't mean
depends
anything.
it does depend.
Depends.
Where you are, though.
Yeah. I was in Canada, most people will speak Canto.
But then if you as the creator are making this in Mandarin, then that's what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
So sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with a lot of Asian and non-romance based languages, people struggle no matter how simplified you make them. So Japanese looks simple, but it has some pretty specific pronunciation that a lot of English speakers can't do. Mm-hmm. So simplifying it won't necessarily make it easier. A lot of people will read and skim over it or make their own pronunciation. So why not give them the most accurate, even if it is complicated, and be this is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. Give it a go, but don't expect to be perfect.
So for me, I've had to think about this a lot because for the last couple of years, I've been working on a book about my experiences living in Taiwan and when I worked there as a teacher. And it's kind of a memoir. It's not a fantasy or anything. So it's an actual real life story based on things that happened to me. And I've had to figure out how to Romanize names and how to actually, if I want to include sections where people are talking in Chinese, how do I represent that on the page? And I learned Chinese primarily in college, where I learned the Pinyin system, which is, used in mainland China and not really on Taiwan. And so the decision that I made was to have my Chinese name be romanized in pinyin and to include, sections of the text that are like a Chinese romanized sentence. That's in pinyin, but then in parentheses afterwards, I might have what it was in English. But then for people's names that I met in Taiwan, because they use a different romanization system there, the Wei Jiao system, I use it how it would be in Taiwan. So it's really complicated, actually. And my goal was just to be as accurate as possible, because it didn't feel quite accurate to be rendering, a Taiwanese person's name in a romanization system they would not use. But it felt accurate for me to be representing conversations that I had with my foreigner friends in pinyin, because that's how we learned it. So it's really, talking about like romanization, how to deal with language is a very complicated issue. And I think most RPGs should probably sidestep it by not including, real life Japanese, Chinese, whatever words in there. But if they did include real life Chinese in there, I that takes balls, and I'd be interested in seeing it. But we don't see that.
So when you're done your book, I want to buy that.
Yeah, no, I've been working on it for a long time, but it's about my experiences living in Taiwan and being a teacher, and how I got addicted to World of Warcraft in Taiwanese PC cafes with my friend, and we would play for 10 hours straight after Chinese class, and like eat ramen at the PC cafe, and like drink coffee at the PC cafe, and talk about girls at the PC cafe, and live a very unhealthy life.
PC cafe, yeah.
Yeah.
If you folks are interested in like specifically Chinese languages and the sort of the nuances of including it in print media, I strongly suggest you read a book called The Chinese Typewriter. So I will say The Chinese Typewriter was written by a white dude, Thomas Mullany. But having spoken to him personally, the Chinese Typewriter is a really interesting book about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a really powerful book.
Wow. Yeah, that looks cool.
And it's about like the racism that I was actually involved in developing a Chinese typewriter and the logistics of designing a keyboard for Chinese.
Does it get into like the different input systems?
Yes, it does.
Like
it
for
covers
Cantonese
all
radicals and everything.
It covers
Whoa.
everything. It's
Wow.
a very good book, and I actually found out about this book when I went to New York, and in Manhattan they have the Museum of Chinese in America.
I still haven't been there, even though I live in New York.
Dope.
Interesting.
And they had a fire race. Oh, yeah, here's my copy of the book.
Nice.
Thank you. But like my girlfriend and I, we went to like the MoCA, and we were like, oh, we'll just go in for an hour because it's a small museum, and the typewriter exhibition they had going on was one room, and we were in that museum for 6 hours.
Whoa.
And like just contextualizing the experiences of Chinese in North America and Chinese print media in Asia around the actual technology of printing, it blew my mind.
That's really cool. I mean, I want to go there now. Thank you. You've sold it to me. I haven't gone to the museum because I've never heard really anything big about it. But there you go. You sold it.
It's amazing. They have an education center. They have like a whole thing on like the Chinese diaspora, and they have a permanent exhibition on like the model minority myth. It's really cool. It's super cool. So if you're ever in New York, you should go. You should also support them if you can, because they did experience a fire quite recently that caused a lot of damage to their archives. They had a black and white display that was just on Chinese laundromats in New York. And if you're a Chinese person and you have family who came here in like the late 19th century, early 20th century, you know how important the laundromat is to Chinese people. It's very, very cool. Also, last thing, legendary Chinese rapper MC Jin did a stand-up show there.
MC Jin, he's going to teach you how to learn Chinese.
Yeah. And like that's super niche. If you know MC Jin, you got like mad respect to you.
I used to have no, it wasn't me, but my friends used to have MC Jin playing on their Zanga pages back in like high school.
Oh my god.
Bringing it back.
There are what pages?
Did you guys have Zanga? No?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
I did Neopets page. That's all I'll admit to.
Ting in the chat knows what I'm talking about.
Ting.
Yeah. Ting knows. Zanga, Asian Avenue. I'm sure Ting knows.
Oh my
So
god.
Someone in the chat met the LMF dudes in Hong Kong. That's crazy.
No, that's Ken.
LMF? Oh, that's Ken. Wow.
Yeah.
LMF.
Let me finish up the Kaito here.
Yeah,
So
let's
just a few
finish
more
up.
things. I'm gonna read the blue text here. So Kaito invocations. Kaito shrine keepers make themselves vessels in which kami may dwell, and so they know their invocations by the fortunate name of the spirit they are invoking. See an appendix for more names. I think it's pretty cool. Again, this is very relevant to what we're talking about. The way you refer to things, your language, these proper nouns, it's all very important, and it tells a lot about kind of your upbringing and whatnot. Cool. Keep that stuff in. That's dope. Moving on to their rank 6 ability, which is named amazingly. I love this. It's called Demon Be Gone with an exclamation point.
Be gone.
That means you gotta yell it.
You have to yell it. As an action, you may take a 3 meditation void check by plucking the string of a bow you are wielding, targeting each otherworldly being within a number of range bands equal to your ranks in meditation. If you succeed, each target suffers a strife equal to the ranks in your meditation, plus your bonus successes. Each target must resist, with the opportunity, each target must resist a 3 meditation void check or treat its physical and supernatural resistances as 0. This effect persists until the end of the scene. This seems very powerful and also dope imagery.
Like I like the bling bling, like a harp.
Yep.
But you're not dry firing your bow. You're not doing what Sar just did. You are not doing that.
You're just plucking the string of the bow.
Gently. As somebody who I have actually a bow like 15 feet from me. As somebody who's been shooting bows for a long time, never dry fire a bow. Never dry fire a bow. Safety is very important. Because if you dry fire a bow, all of the energy from the bowstring doesn't get transferred into an arrow that is shot from the bow. It actually gets transferred into the body of the bow, which can cause the bow to shatter.
So I one of my first like big cosplays where like I spent a lot of time doing it was Green Arrow, and I made a bow and arrow out of PVC pipe and parachute cord, paracord, which is totally like you can make a legit bow out of that.
My brother did that once. You get along with him. He like makes bows in the spare time. Nice.
I got really concerned because I was like, this is a legit weapon and like it could fire something if someone were to try. Anyways, I go to the con. People love my costume. I have season 1 CW Green Arrow. I love that
when
look.
he was a murderer.
When he was a straight up murderer. But what I love about it, he was the hood. But what I love about it is that there's no domino mask. He just takes grease paint and just like does this.
Oliver Queen is dead.
And I did that. That was how I put the mask on.
Does it itch? Like, I mean, I don't know.
It feels great actually because it's
Really?
it's stage makeup. So grease paint is stage makeup. It's comfortable. It doesn't move around, so it won't sweat into your eyes or things like that. It's actually pretty great. It also looks great on camera and it looks great from afar. The only thing was I needed 2 because in the show it was very clear he's using 2. He's using green and black. It looked dope. Anyways, someone was like, "Hey, you very young man, that bow is dope. Can I see it?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course you can." Big mistake. Immediately dry fires my bow, and luckily the PVC didn't shatter because PVC is like very durable. But the paracord immediately just like came out. I spent the rest of the afternoon trying to retie a cosplay bow. Don't dry fire bows.
Don't dry fire bow and wax your bow strings.
PSA from
Pete.
Daniel.
Yeah. 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 Bows are expensive. They're very expensive. When I had more time, I used to go to, like, in Toronto, there's an Olympic range by the Science Center. It's an outdoor range, and I used to go every day, and I would just shoot for 2 hours. Well, not every day, sorry. Once a week, and I would shoot for 2 hours. It was wonderful. But no more free time and social distancing. So that was actually the last one. The Kaito Shrine Keeper was the last one. Because then we're moving into, well, that's the Bayushi. I guess, are we doing Scorpion next?
Scorpion next, yep.
Scorpion next.
Oh boy.
So the Scorpion is the one where I'm most excited and most afraid for, because going through like the high level kind of what the clans are, I resonate with Scorpion. I want to go to court and I want to smooch, but not quite smooch, using smooching as my weapon. And I'm like, I want to see what they have. It's super wrought with where you could. It was super wrought with pitfalls and places where you could like cause a lot of harm. but in my current state in 2020, apparently I'm just really wanting these like romance RPGs. So here we go.
So let's play Monster Hearts in L5R. Seriously.
Just to prepare you guys for Scorpion. I mean, the core, one of the cool things about the Scorpion school is that, and this is very, very core to everything that Scorpion does, is this one saying: tell the truth by telling a lie, and tell a lie by telling the truth.
Sure, whatever. You got it.
Emma's not a Scorpion. Emma's not a Scorpion.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the Scorpion next week, but we'll say, what are our thoughts on the Phoenix?
I'd also like to ask Sar. You said that they were kind of coded to be Korean before.
Oh, yeah, that's
like,
right.
How so?
It's there's nothing in it that really reads Korean, does it? It's just I mean, there's this one.
Just on some of the art, yeah.
It's not just some of the art. Sage of Gisei Toshi. I think that's the one. Give me 1 second.
So while Sar looks that up, everyone else, because Sar is a Phoenix player, so there's some Phoenix bias here.
Yeah, there is.
So the rest of us, what are our thoughts on the Phoenix?
I like the Kaito school. The rest I'm kind of meh on.
I don't know if I care about the Kaito school. I like the Kaito family.
Oh, the Kaito family, yeah. Well, I like what you can do with that particular branch of the Phoenix tree.
How about you, Monty? Do you have a...
Having worked on the book, let me think. One of the things I personally have, I find it always weird that there is a clan that's kind of devoted to religion. I always find that, I just find it weird personally, like in the L5 universe, L5R universe. Like, especially since there's Shikenja in the other families, right? So like, how do they approach religion? We don't really get a chance to figure out that at all. And so
they defer to the Phoenix. Flat out, they defer to the Phoenix.
See, that's weird though. That doesn't... If you're looking at like a real world and you're trying to create real cultures, having like one entire group of people be like, oh, we defer to another. That's like saying like I'm religious, but I let Steve practice religion for me. Like
it's this bad. The unicorn practices a magic called Meishodo. The Phoenix believes that form of magic is heretical. They petitioned the emperor to get it banned, and for the longest time, the emperor almost did it. It came down to a player vote at the very first L5R event to decide whether Meishodo would be illegal in the empire or not.
I'm not gonna lie, that's very real. I mean, we look at that right now with a lot of religions in the world, and they all are rooted in something very similar. Yet they demonize one religion, right? It's like how everyone treats Islam. Think about it that way. I think L5R really suffers, and it's world building. I'm going to divorce this completely of game mechanics. L5R really suffers in how it perceives the scale of the world. Like to work off of Monty's point, like it's odd that you have an entire clan, and this is the thing that they do. The Lion Clan. They are the warriors. And that's how they portray it to you. I know there are nuances to it, and everybody in the chat is going to be like, read the lore, Daniel. This is the core book. Remember, this show is all about impressions of the core book. But, like, there's a huge problem in scale here when you say that everyone is like this. That's like saying that, like, okay, we live in the city of Toronto. There are 6 million people here. All the people in Chinatown, they only eat dim sum. And all the people who live in High Park, they only eat Polish food. Like, you can't make these broad generalizations about massive groups of people because it doesn't work from a world building perspective. Because you are basically doing one thing that Asian RPGs do really bad. And I mean Asian RPGs written by white people primarily, is that they paint broad generalizations over people. But they make broad generalizations, and in this case, these generalizations are designed to create an other, right? So they need to make the phoenix feel distinct from the crab and from the dragon. And so they say all of the phoenix do this thing, and they compartmentalize them into one spot. Right? And they say all the crab do this one thing, and they compartmentalize them, because we as humans like to organize and categorize. It's why stereotypes exist, right? People like to create categories in our mind, and in many cases, these categories can do harm. Right? So L5R really suffers in that they're trying to micromanage this world and tell you exactly what the clans believe in. But these belief systems are really poorly rationalized, because they say that everybody believes in Bushido like it is a religion. But
it is.
But think about it. What if I went and said, in the D&D world, everybody believes in chivalry?
D&D does do that for certain races, though.
It's certain races, and we see problems in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all Thermian.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a problem a lot of RPGs have in general.
It's not just L5R.
I think it's just more obvious in this one because it's dealing with real-world Asian cultures and not Japan.
Yeah. I mean, that's
quote-unquote not Japan.
Not
That's
Japan.
what I mean. Yeah, not Japan.
But then it's like, it's a not Japan, but like Emma said, they bring in elements of real Japan.
They do.
But very selectively.
A lot and
Well,
very
look at
specific.
Look at this image behind me right now.
You
Is
gotta
that
duck.
not a
You gotta
Tory-
duck. You gotta duck.
Tory-
Can you duck out of the way? Look at it.
That's a
Nice.
Tory game, right?
It's a toady, yeah,
It's a toady.
but it's white instead of red.
Because of
Why
all
is it not?
So innovative.
I was just looking back to see if they ever explain what the Tao Shinsei is and how it differs from any of the other religious or spiritual stuff we've seen. Yeah.
Okay, the Tao Shinsei, there is this guy named Shinsei. He's supposed to be mystical. That's all we know about him. He's mystical. He appeared out of absolutely nowhere. And this is a CCG construct, by the way. He had a very long conversation with the Hante, the first emperor. And that conversation was written down by I believe it was by Togashi. Togashi wrote the conversation down between the two, and that conversation became the Tao Shinsei. Shinsei.
Yeah. So like all I see listed is ancestor worship,
Shiba-
Shinseism, and then Tao Shinsei, as well as I don't know. And it's hard because then it's all this blend of like Shinto, Buddhist, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
I will bring up this one thing because sorry you shared this art with us.
Mm.
I'm not an expert on Korea,
Right.
but this looks a lot like that black gat hat that you see in the Joseon period.
So
This
Yeah.
is about the only thing I could come up. This is the only art.
But I don't know if there's something like this in Japan. This is where I would allow somebody else to place judgment, because this is not my area of expertise.
The whole thing together looks Korean.
It does, though.
It seems very weird that we have this piece of art, yet nothing else about the Phoenix Clan seems Korean.
No.
Like, it's like with the Dragon Clan. If you're going to make a clan that is quasi-Chinese, why didn't you do it? Why did you paint it with Japanese trappings and like just throw a few Chinese things in there? Why'd you do that with this?
It had the designer Tyler Parrott and he is also the lead story writer, one of the two lead story writers for L5R, has specifically said that Phoenix is supposed to code Korean. However, this is the only piece of art, and possibly the other one that I linked, the Master of Gisei Toshi, that could even remotely be coded Korean, be considered Korean.
Again, the
I
question
do not
is, why
see
do they
Korean
have to?
influence in any other art of the Phoenix.
If I was a bad designer, I would do this to make them be the other in a world where everything is generally Japanese. You could do the same thing with like other Asian cultures. Like if you had coded them to be Vietnamese and made them wear like ao dai, it would be like they're clearly different than everyone else. And like now you've kind of made a statement and like told players kind of how you should interact with people from this clan. you of course have lost all nuance and all like context as to what that actually means to individual people. But you've done a thing.
I feel like that's kind of what they've done.
I mean, a lot of people, well, let's put it this way. A lot of non-Asian designers who write Asian TTRPGs, they think that nuance in an Asian game means including elements of other Asian cultures. And that's what we're seeing here. They're like, oh, it's such a nuanced view of Asia. No, it's just a really poor pastiche of Japan.
Well, it
China, and
depends.
Korea.
It depends. I like if you're gonna make a whole world setting that is coded to be various different parts of Asia.
Yes,
I like
that makes sense.
because I'm sick and tired of just seeing just Japan in
But
these.
this game is
role-playing
specifically
games.
just
Yes,
Japan.
This game is just Japan,
Yeah.
except for little sprinklings of Korea
Yeah.
and China and like Mongolia when we get to like the unicorn. So
Yeah. So it's like, yes, you're absolutely right, Jeremy. It's like having other Asian cultures in your game can be a form of nuance if you're building a pan-Asian setting.
Build
But-
a Pan-Asian setting. Like actually go for it. Like make the freaking Dragon Clan Chinese. Make the Phoenix Clan Korean, but they didn't.
No, because this is all set in Japan.
Yes, but not Japan. So
Yeah,
that's
Japan, but not. That being said, we're running out of time. So like we kind of got impressions. Monty, did you I don't remember. Did you say what were your thoughts on this? You said it's kind of.
Oh well, I mean, my mentioning was the Phoenix being like the religious clan. That was what I mentioned.
What about you, Emma, Steve?
I found individual families made sense, but the clan as a whole still, like that description still doesn't quite.
Yeah.
But that's just, I don't know, based on what they've presented.
Steve?
I mean, at worst, it was kind of boring. Like it was clear, but boring at worst. And at best, it was Inuyasha, Kagome, Inuyasha, Kagome. That was at its best.
There are parts of it that are really interesting, and there are parts of it that are just like, oh, okay, this is what we've kind of come to know L5R to be so far, at least based on the non-L5R players here. But that being said, our stream is now coming to an end. Do we have any announcements? I mean, Asians Represent, we have a big one. We have a huge announcement, and it's one that look, I talked to Steve. I know we talked a lot about this when the opportunity arose, and we at first considered not doing it. So on September 20th, Asians Represent, so myself, Steve, Amar, Ahmed, and Pam are all going to be speaking on a panel of our creation at D&D Celebration 2020. D&D Celebration's like a big online con. They're running like an epic there. It's supposed to help with the launch of the Rime of the Frost Maiden adventure. But they approached me shortly after that whole book burning thing.
I laugh out of pain.
The thing when the internet, all the white people on the internet decided that I was going to be a villain. And they approached me and they said, hey, we're going to do this thing. And we want you to be a part of it. And we want you to do a panel. And they said, you can do anything you want. And in my head, I said, wait, seriously? So I emailed and I said, hey, can I talk about Oriental Adventures? And they said, yes. Now, we had a lot of talks. We had a lot of Teams calls and all that to go back and forth over how this would actually work and what this would look like. And I said, look, Steve and I, we spent 26 hours dunking on this book. I don't want this panel to be another hour or however long of us just dunking on L5R. I want us to be able to identify, the parts of L5R that are problematic from a broader perspective. Sorry, Oriental Adventures. We were just talking about L5R.
Maybe Fantasy Flight is going to reach out next.
Yeah, maybe Fantasy Flight will do a FFG celebration. But anyways, the parts of Oriental Adventures that were problematic and why they were harmful. And they were totally on board with us identifying the harmful aspects of the book. But what they also wanted, and this is what Wizards wanted, they said, we want you to use our platform and speak to our community about how to move forward from it. And I said, okay, I'm in. Let's talk a little bit more about logistics. Here's what happened to me. And they were like, we are fully aware of what happened. And they said, well, okay, we hired professional moderators to moderate your stream. Which I thought, oh, this is a good move. And, we worked together to make sure that, A, we weren't just slandering their company for an hour. Like, let's be honest, nobody wants that, and we already spent 26 hours doing that. We're going to do something productive. We're going to talk about why it's bad, and we're going to then talk about how to make something good. So, 1 p.m. Pacific on the 20th at the D&D Twitch channel. I forget what it's called. It's twitch.tv/D&D, I think. Or
/D&D.
/D&D.
Yep.
We're going to be there. And we're going to be an all-Asian panel talking about Asian issues on the official D&D platform, which is honestly huge. And I'm so glad that we said yes, because this is a fantastic opportunity for us to do some real good for our community and improve the D&D community. It's a step. This is not the solution. This is a first step. But I'm happy that, we get to take this step together. So I hope you folks come. I hope you folks come out to support, Pam, Ahmed, Steve, Amar, like these amazing people. But I also hope you come out to, take part in the conversation, right? Because it's not just, these handful of voices, these 6 people who are on this L5R stream, or the 5 people who are going to be on that panel. This is our entire community. So I hope you folks come out. So again, details are on our Twitter. They're on my Twitter. They're all over the internet. D&D Celebration 2020. We hope to see you there. Now, does this mean that Asians Represent is going to be doing 5th edition D&D stuff? No, we're not. So straight up with you, no, we're not doing that. But if, we have opportunities like this to do good and teach people, we will. So we are still being very selective with our appearances and uses of D&D publicly. And I know Steve and I have some other things D&D related that I'm sure we'll announce later. That being said, does anybody else have anything individually that they want to share?
I mean, I just want to say first, that's freaking awesome. Props to you guys. And like I said in the tweet, I am mildly impressed that Wizards is paying attention, but I'm, more proud that, you guys are going to be on a panel and actually talking about these issues, in front of a huge audience. That's big.
Yeah. And I will say that, we are also not doing this for free. And that's
Good.
also another
Get your
good step
money.
for Wizards.
Get your money.
Get paid. But yeah,
well, this benefits them too, so you may as well.
It benefits them, and it's a great way for Asian creators to get paid for their labor. And I think that's important, and I know Wizards recognizes that.
Good.
Again, there are people in Wizards who do good work, who show up on our streams, who listen to us. So we also have to recognize that. Just like what we were talking about here with L5R, there are writers who have worked really hard on these books, like Monty, right? And deserve to be recognized for their hard work. So we have to understand that, Wizards of the Coast is a giant company, and there are still really good people who are fighting for us who work there. And yes, Wizards has let down so many people, and they constantly let down the community. But there are people inside who are trying really hard, and it's also their livelihood. So I want us to make sure we are more empathetic when we approach, these issues.
Corporations might not be good, but people are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you folks don't have anything else, I have one thing. We talked about birds today.
So maybe I'll do my thing first.
Do your thing. Are you going to show it? Are you going to show it?
I'm not gonna show the whole
sneak peek.
I'm not gonna show the whole thing.
Okay, because I know what it is.
So for Dungeons and Asians, I play a character called La Ning. She's a Yosha. She's a kind of like assassin court person. And I may or may not have begun the commissioning projects of getting some of it done.
Ooh.
So I don't want to show too much, but some
Steve.
of it is here. But you know, that's for another stream.
If you want to know what this will look like, roughly, hey, go check out some of that sweet, sweet, sweet Dungeons and Asians art that exists out there. Go on our Twitter, you know, check it out. It's gonna be sweet. I can't wait. So, Steve, for our next Dungeons and Asians stream, when Jade will actually be joining us, maybe we'll be wearing costume.
I will not be in costume. This one is so.
I
There's
will.
a lot of moving pieces to this. I have the costume. I am still work in progress of working on Josha's edge. There's a lot of logistics that go into building this one, which I won't get into tonight. It's not nearly so easy as to. I commissioned a Toronto cosplayer to make this one, Violet Cosplay. She was great to work with. It was amazing. We're in quarantine and she was very like flexible and whatnot. But I really want to make the Josha's Edge, the sword my character makes, myself, because cosplay for me has like a lot of meaning and I'm very excited to do it, but it is difficult. So I will get back to you on that.
And if you want to know what that weapon is, you can listen to Dungeons and Asians episode 4 to learn about that one and on from there. I got one thing. So if you want to learn more about birds in Asian culture, I never thought I'd say this. I'm about to release Denizens of Mountains and Seas Volume 2, which is a zine I've been writing. It's a sort of OSR zine that kind of has Knave and old school essentials mechanics built into it, about classical Chinese literature and monsters from early Han Dynasty books. On Volume 2, I focused entirely on snakes and birds. And so in that book, it's not a book, it's a zine. In that zine, I have sections of it that, just have real cultural information on the value of snakes, birds, and jade in Chinese culture. So that'll be really soon. But if you want a sneak peek, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/DanielHKwan.
It's good. I got the file open in front of me right now. Checking it out.
Oh, bless. I just got the art. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, give me that art. I'm looking at a blank document.
You're looking at a blank document. Hold up. Let me,
Give me that art. Give me that art.
Let me.
Got a whole section, Jade and Chinese culture, not Japanese, Chinese. There we go.
Chinese culture. Let me open up some of the art. Give me a second. I'm gonna open up the art on stream so people can see it. I just need to find it. I'll give you one sneak peek.
This is the stream of sneak peeks.
This is the stream of sneak peeks, and there's your sneak peek, right there. I think that shows.
Yep,
yeah, there's
I
your
can see
sneak
it.
peek. We wanted it to kind of mirror that classical Chinese art. So here's our sneak peek.
Nice.
It's a pretty sweet monster. I'm excited. But anyways, folks, I've put all of our guests' socials. It's already in the chat. You can view them on screen. Please go follow these people. They do great work. I know, Jeremy, you have 2 accounts, but Pixel Grotto is one that you're trying to grow.
That's trying to grow it. It's my blog and like random video game and tabletop RPG stuff. So follow me.
Follow everyone.
And everyone.
Jeremy,
follow the Shrimp Clan.
Hashtag Shrimp Clan. Actually, I made some.
I feel like we should build that concept.
Well, I think at the end of the clans, when we look at all of them, we're going to build our own clan. And we're going to be like, here's the Shrimp Clan. And then we'll just release it for free. And here's the Shrimp Clan. Use it.
The Scampy School?
Yeah, who knows? It's going to be a joke clan, but it's going to be great. That being said, everyone, please, we talked about some heavy stuff. We had some jokes in here. But, a lot of the tensions that we brought up are very much real. And I'm sure, in addition to us feeling them, you might have felt them. So please take care of yourselves, fellow streamers, especially our pro streamer Monty. Please take care of yourselves. Please take some time to relax. For me, I've actually been finally listening to my partner and disconnecting from my computer, and I've actually started painting miniatures. And I'm getting super obsessed.
That's what they want.
This is what they want.
It's all designed for that.
And it's becoming a problem. I literally am like, every day I paint a little disgusting demon, and that's what I do to disconnect. It's kind of become a thing I really love. So yeah, Steve, Emma, Jeremy, Sar, Monty, and all of you in the chat or watching on YouTube, please take care of yourselves. Spend some time with your family, and wear a mask.